Hi, thank you for joining me today for this workshop where we will explore positive intelligence, which is mental fitness, where you will discover practical, simple tools to train your brain to lean into better behavior choices and enhanced decision making. Most of us are limited by our own habits and our thoughts. What if we could break years of self-sabotage, negativity, and limiting beliefs into a more positive, resilient, and relaxed lifestyle? What if we could truly create a life where we enjoy better health, careers, and relationships? It is possible with mental fitness. So sit back, relax, and thank you so much for coming to see this workshop. Once again, thank you so much for joining. Do really appreciate it. My name is Vanessa Cardenas. I am a mental fitness trainer. In addition, I am a coach in confidence, as well as a trusted advisor for betrayal and transformation. So thank you so much for being here. So as we talked a little bit before we got started, typical New Year's resolutions. Everybody has them for the most part. They seem to think that a specific day of the year, we start fresh. We hit the reset button and we hit the ground running on January 1st. And some of the New Year's resolutions usually include losing weight and exercising and drink more water and quit smoking and get to bed earlier and drink less and all of these various things. And what happens is we put so much pressure on ourselves to do what we think is right. And what the little voice in our head is saying, oh, this is the year. This is the year you're going to do this. And then January 2nd or 3rd or 4th, maybe you get through a week and then it all kind of falls apart. It does. It just does. Most people have a hard time keeping the New Year's resolution a couple of days, a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's a couple of months. What if before you even get to New Year's, you have tools in your toolkit that help you tap down those voices in your head that tell you, oh yeah, you can do it. No, you can't do it. Yeah, you can do it. No, you can't do it, type of thing. And you have this battle going on where your dreams of what you want to do and what you want to accomplish this following year, this next year, is already self-sabotage before you even got started. That's what we're going to talk about today. It's about why do we sabotage ourselves? Why do our New Year's resolutions not turn into year-round goals? Why do we wait for a certain day to hit that reset button? Why can't we hit that reset button whenever we want? It doesn't have to be a Monday, the first Monday of a month. It doesn't have to be the 1st of January. It doesn't have to be the 1st of any given month. It can be any given day of the year. Not a problem to hit that reset button, to tap down those voices that tell you you can't. I'm here to tell you that there is a possibility that you can. We need to do so. It's so important now, especially after the years that we've had. And I say years because it was 2 years of just lockdown and just being confined and just not being ourselves. And now things are opening up and people are open to suggestions and all kinds of things. But still, what's happening is those voices. And we tend to stop dreaming when we feel unsupported. And we don't even support ourselves. Our inner critic is brutal, brutal. Our inner critic speaks to us in a way that we would never speak to anybody else that way. But we allow it within ourselves. So my question for you is, how loud is the symphony going on in your head? How loud does it get sometimes where it just tells you, no, you can't do that. No, it'll never work. It gives you a whole litany of reasons why. So with that being said, one of the things that has always intrigued me is that as a C-suite executive, I had a lot of team members that were smokers, and they would step away from their desk and they would go on a cigarette break. I'm not advocating smoking. Please don't misunderstand me. I am absolutely not advocating smoking. But what I was intrigued with was that they would come back a little relaxed, just a little relaxed from when they left. And you know this, the smokers that are around us, they seem to, the second they take that first inhale, things seem to settle. So I'm going to invite you for a virtual cigarette break where we're going to take that cigarette, we're going to put it to our lips, we're going to light that match. We've all seen how it's done, even if we're not smokers. And again, I am not advocating smoking, but what I am advocating is breathing. So we take that first inhale, it goes all the way down to our hips. Yes, as a smoker, you're inhaling all that nicotine and everything else, but there's something that you're doing. There's a physical thing that's happening. You are expanding your lungs and you're inhaling all the way down to your hips. And what do? They hold it and then they release. So again, so as you do that for the second time, and I invite you to do it, you'll feel your body and your mind shift and just ease. Yes, we breathe all day long, but do we ever really breathe in real deeply, hold, and release? And an average cigarette, 15 deep breaths. And you know that last one, when it's down right to the end, whoa, they take a real big inhale and they hold on to it for as long as they can and they let it go. There's something to be said about that. So I always want you to kind of consider that. Again, please don't misunderstand me. I am not advocating smoking, but I am encouraging breathing. Just breathing. Imagine if you were able to remain calm and clear-headed and stress-free and positive, even in the midst of handling work's and life's challenges. What becomes possible for you if you had that opportunity? If you weren't bound by anything, what would you do? And who would you be? I want you to dream big, big. Tap down those voices. Ignore them. Right now, just ignore them. Vanessa's saying for me to dream big. What is your biggest dream? What would you do? Who would you be? Think about that as we jump into this presentation. And this presentation is how to grow the 3 core mental muscles to thrive in challenging times. It is possible. It absolutely is. So let's talk about the agenda, what we're going to talk about today, just so that you're aware of it. We're going to talk about what is mental fitness, why it is important, and how to strengthen your mental muscles. Okay, so what is mental fitness? What is the definition? It is the capacity to be able to respond to life's challenges from a place of positivity rather than a negative mindset. And that seems really far-fetched. And when I started this process of learning this, I was like, there's no way. It just isn't. My voices are so loud all day long. They just really beat me down. But again, it was my inner critic. And I really struggled with that inner critic. So what's the impact of coming from a place of positivity rather than negativity? Well, it's definitely peak performance, without a doubt. Look at athletes. Athletes are on that free throw line and they get a shot completely free. You know, they don't have anybody in their way, nothing of the sort. All they have to do is dribble the ball, hold on to it, and throw it in the basket. Do they make it every single time? No, they don't. And then what goes through their head? Well, elite athletes know how to squash that down. But your regular athletes, boy, sometimes that voice in their head just, yeah, you missed that shot. Now they're going to lose the game. And now we're going to lose the championship. And they spiral into this negativity. And they can't, they're so focused on what they did wrong that even when they get past the ball, they choke. That's why it's called choking. They just don't know what to do. They just get wrapped into themselves. The other impact of being positive versus negative is peace of mind. You know that when you have a great day, when everything just works perfectly and everything's nice and quiet, oh, it's glorious. It just is. And then we have healthy relationships. So this mental fitness program was based on breakthrough research that was done by a gentleman, PhD, named Shirzad Shamin. He did a combination of discoveries that incorporated both neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance psychology. His research included work of thousands of participants, over 500,000 participants in 50 countries. He also included hundreds of CEOs that he worked with, and he and his team worked with personally, as well as elite athletes to get their head in the game, to get their head in the game. So the research was all summarized in his best-selling book, New York Times best-selling book, Positive Intelligence. It's been translated into 20 different languages. That's how popular this tool is. And what it is based on is the power of factor analysis. And I was like, factor analysis? I don't even know what that is. And that was to discover the root cause. What is the root cause of why we sabotage ourselves? And it resulted in radical simplification. I want you to think of it this way. There are 26 letters in the alphabet. Those 26 letters, in a variety of ways, constitute 1,000,000 words. 1,000,000 words in Webster's dictionary come all the way down. The root of it, the factor analysis of it, is 26 letters. Amazing. Absolutely amazing in and of itself. Then, if you take it even a step further, there are thousands and thousands of colors on the spectrum. And again, the factor analysis that gets it down to its littlest form, 3 colors. 3 colors, that's it. You've got the red, the blue, and the yellow. And it creates thousands of colors. Something to definitely consider there. So radical simplification. So what was the radical simplification for mental fitness? Well, 3 muscles. And he categorized them as your saboteur interceptor, your sage, and your self-command. So your saboteur interceptor is your Darth Vader, dark side of the force, badass. And your sage is your Luke Skywalker. Now, we know that Luke really struggled with his emotions. We did. When he was with Yoda, Yoda was always telling him, you just do. You don't try, you do. There is no try. So, and then you have your self-command muscle. So we're going to go through the 3 of them together, just so that you're aware of them. So your saboteur interceptor, you have 10 saboteurs and you have 5 sages. Your 10 saboteurs include the controller, the avoider, the hypervigilant, the pleaser, the victim, the restless, the stickler, the hyper-rational, and the hyperachiever. Those are 9. The big one is the judge. He's the emperor. He's the worst critic. He is that critic in your head that is relentless with you. That is the judge. But the judge does not work alone. He uses one of the 9 saboteurs as well as his accomplices. And the saboteurs motivate you through negative emotions, whether that's fear or stress or anger or guilt or shame or insecurity. That's how he motivates you. Now, you have sage powers. You have 5 of them. They are to empathize. They are to explore. They are to innovate. They are to activate. And the sage motivates you through positivity, empathy, curiosity, creativity, passion, and purpose. So we talked a little bit about the judge. The judge is your inner critic. We all have that. We all have the judge. Again, think of it like the emperor in Star Wars, the dark side of the force, you know. And again, he has accomplices. Now, we might be thinking, okay, so the accomplices, he works with accomplices. How strong are the accomplices that he has? Well, how do we figure that out? Well, there is an assessment. So I'm going to show you an example of one of my clients' saboteur results so that you're a little bit more familiar with it. So James, his accomplice saboteur, his strongest one was the controller. Control. Had to be in control all the time. Then he had the avoider, where he didn't want conflict. He wanted to avoid it. Then he had the hypervigilant and the pleaser. Pleaser's a big one. I know all about the pleaser. Pleaser was my top one. Back in the day when I did this assessment the first time, my pleaser was a 10 out of 10. Why is that? Because you'll notice that the sages, which are empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and activate, when you overuse your sage powers, it turns into a saboteur. So my empathize sage, which ran free as a child, got overused, and suddenly as an adult, I became a pleaser. Yeah, so give it some thought. And again, this saboteur's results, this is a free opportunity for you to be able to take the assessment and see where your saboteurs land. And again, your judge, everybody has it. Everybody absolutely has it. We want to tap down. We want to get him under control. Very much so. So a lot of times there's questions of, well, hold on a second. Aren't negative emotions good for you? Don't they like force you to do something? Well, my question for you is pain good for you? It's helpful for 1 second as an alert system. You know, we want that alert system. The problem is staying in that negative emotion for any duration of time really hurts your ability to see clearly. You know that. Sometimes when you're angry, you see red. You see red. You want to be able to respond with empathy or curiosity or creativity or laser-focused action. A negative emotion is a saboteur. So let's talk a little bit more about the sages, which are my favorite. The sage lives in the region of your brain that's completely different from your saboteur. So your saboteurs are on one side and your sages are on another. They live for positive emotions, calm, peace, clear-headed focus without all of the distractions of all of these voices, the creativity, the big picture. We step back, we see the big picture, not the little minute detail, but the big picture. That's what we want. And we want to operate from what's referred to as the sage perspective. So what is the sage perspective? Yeah, I was a little confused about that as well. Well, the sage perspective says that every single outcome and circumstance can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. Really? So it got me thinking. There was a childhood book that my daughter absolutely loved, and it was called Zen Shorts. this book she just absolutely adored. And I didn't understand why until I realized that Zen, Z-E-N, had the first two letters of her favorite animal, which was zebra. So we would read this every night. And one of the stories that she absolutely loved was called The Farmer. And very briefly, the story goes that the farmer had a beautiful stallion, beautiful horse, and it won first prize at the local fair. And all the townspeople came to the farmer and said, "Oh, how wonderful, you won the grand prize." And the farmer said, "Well, okay, is it good or is it bad?" And the townspeople were very confused as to why he said it like that. Turns out, a couple of days later, that stallion was stolen because it made its way through the grapevine that it was there, and thieves came and took it. So again, all the townspeople came to the farmer. "Oh, it's so bad. Oh, it was stolen." And he said, "Is it good or is it bad?" Then a couple of days later, the stallion returned with two mares. Oh, now he had three horses. "Oh, the luck. That's wonderful," said the townspeople. And again, the farmer said, "Is it good or is it bad?" A couple of days later, his son decided that he wanted to break in the mare and decided to ride. Well, the mare wasn't having any of that and bucked him off, causing him to break his leg. And again, the townspeople came. "Oh, it's so terrible that your son broke his leg." And again, the farmer said, "Is it good or is it bad?" And again, the townspeople were really confused by his demeanor, like his perspective on the whole thing. Turns out, a couple of days later, the army came through, collecting all of the young men to fight. They couldn't take his son because his son had broken his leg. And again, is it good or is it bad? And the question is, which perspective is true? The saboteur will tell you it's bad, it's terrible, it's absolutely terrible. The sage will say, this is a gift. So again, depends on the perspective. So whichever you believe is what comes true. If you believe it's terrible, it's terrible. If you believe that it might be a gift, it'll be a gift. Very, very much so. So now we go to the self-command. That is the third muscle in mental fitness. And here is where I invite you to join me in a 10-second PQ rep. Yeah, really interesting. People get very worried. It is extremely simple. You take your thumb and your two fingers and you rub them together until you can feel the ridges of your fingerprint. You can rub them back and forth. You can rub them in circles, however it feels, but rub until you can feel the ridges of your fingerprint. I invite you to breathe in and release. Breathe in and release. A third one and release. Now I invite you to take a nice deep breath in, and as you do, feel the temperature of the air as it goes in. Hold, and as you release, feel the temperature. That's it. One more deep breath in, feel the temperature, and release. You have now done not 10-second reps, but 20-second reps. That is it. That is the simplicity of this system, of this operating system. Basically indicates if you are feeling a negative emotion, you feel it coming on, or you're trapped in it. That critic is screaming at you. Those voices in your head are just bombarding you. They are talking to you in a way that you would never talk to anybody, but they're talking to you and they're beating you down. Stop. Stop. You're in saboteur mode. And you call them out on it. Up, there goes my pleaser. Up, there goes my stickler. Because once you have that awareness, you stop them in their tracks. Because then they don't have control over you. You do a couple of PQ reps, whether that's fingertips, there's a couple of others. This happens to be my favorite. So you do a couple of these, you breathe. It's not a long meditation session where you have to get a special pillow or an incense or this or that. You can do it with your eyes open. You can do it with your eyes closed if you like. Can't do it while you're driving, though I will tell you this, I have my hand on the steering wheel, I'm usually doing this. But again, there's nothing special that needs to get done in order to do this, nor is there a huge time constraint that you have on it. We did 10 seconds. The minimum is 2 minutes. That's it, during the day in various intervals, and you get prompted for those. So I'll explain a little bit more about that a little later. You want to assume the sage perspective. You want to think about the situation and see if there is a way to see it as a gift or an opportunity. Is there something, now that you've stepped back from the situation, you have a clear head to be able to see it for what it is? And then you want to explore the gift by using the sage powers, whether that's empathy, curiosity, creativity, calm, clear-headed action. So the question is it really possible to shift from saboteur to sage? Even in the toughest challenges, when you are just beside yourself in negativity, there is something going on and you're just like, whoa, type of thing. And you know how that is. We've all had that. And the question, the answer to that question is yes, you can. The speed by which you do it, that depends on your mental muscle strength. It just does. Can you go to the gym, walk into the gym and pick up a 50-pound barbell if you haven't been in the gym for months? Unlikely. You have to build up to that. Same principle here. So we talk about lasting change. We talked about that at the beginning with what your New Year's resolutions were and how long did it take for you to either accomplish it or not accomplish it. So we have now had a conversation. We have a little bit of insight. We understand the 3 different mental muscles, kind of where they are in the region of our brains. We have insight. Insight is great. When they tell you something and you're like, yeah, I understand that. Just because you understand it, if you don't implement it, it doesn't mean anything. It truly doesn't. It's great that you know it, but if you don't implement it, nothing changes. And again, it's been said, you know, the definition of is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Well, here we are to do something a little different. So success in this program does require intense initial practice. And people are like, oh, okay, hold on, I'm out. I can't do it. It's 15 minutes a day. That's truly what it is. It's 15 minutes a day for 6 to 8 weeks. Think of it, and it's a bad example, and I apologize for using it. Please do not get offended. It's like Pavlov's dog, okay? He got used to that when the light went on, he would get a treat. He got so used to it that he was ready for it. It's the same thing here. Your brain gets used to that when you do this, you shift into sage. That everything calms down. This, a few deep breaths. There are a few other exercises as well. Again, this is my favorite. Deep breathing is good as well. It is not a major time constraint. It is 15 minutes a day. It is divided into 3 to 5, depending on the day of the week. And again, you control that, which is wonderful. 3 to 5 times a day, you get various intervals where you pause and take a break, as if you're going for a cigarette break, but you are not smoking a cigarette. You are doing PQ reps. So again, you cannot defeat a gang of bandits. Those 10 bandits, those 10 saboteurs, you can't defeat them by just putting in 1 person a day. Can't do it. But this, I know it sounds so simple, and it's like, really? No, can't be that simple. It is. It truly is. So we're talking about the process. Now let's talk a little bit about the outcome. What happens when you're doing this and breathing and getting the intervals throughout the day to pause, to take that break? Whether that break is while you're in the bathroom, that break is while you're in the shower, that break is right when you wake up, before you get out of bed and put your feet on the floor, you do a session, 2 to 3 minutes of PQ reps, just to settle down and start your day. Very much so. So here's a testimonial from Steve, one of my clients, okay? He loved this program. He was so against it. He battled me the whole way, and I'm like, you need to do it. I can see that it would benefit you. Please do it. Just do it. And because of the way I operate, it's a money-back guarantee on it. If people aren't happy, I don't want people to be unhappy. Money-back guarantee. I can tell you this, nobody's taken advantage of it yet. People fight me the whole way, but once they get into it, yeah, very much so. And he said this, he said that it's changed his life profoundly. I see it without a doubt. He is so aware of his thoughts now and those voices that he always heard they were his critic for just ever. They were his companion. He referred to them as his shadow, like they were his best buddies. And he thought that they were doing right by him. And he learned that they were not. And he changed his thinking from negative, which he didn't even realize that he was being negative, to positive. So let's see about his results. We talked about the saboteur assessment results. So when he started, his stickler was raging. And 8 weeks later, he dropped it down. Actually, all of his scores dropped down significantly. Very much so. So let's talk a little bit more about your current situation and your desired outcome. I want you to dream big. Think of something that you're like, wow, if I could do that next year, or if I could do that next week, or I could just feel that way. I want you to dream bigger. Absolutely. So let's circle back to those New Year's resolutions. Again, this was the list that we had initially, okay? A goal without a plan, it's just a wish. It's just a wish. I don't want you to wish. I want you to do. I want to be just like Yoda. There is no try. You just do. So what is this program? It is the Positive Intelligence Program. You can do this independently. There is a self-guided way of doing it. It's a 6-week duration. You watch a 1-hour video a week. It's usually dropped on the weekend or on Monday, and it's chopped up so that you can watch it in intervals. It's audio as well. So if you like listening to podcasts or listening while you're driving, you have that opportunity as well. It's 15 minutes a day of practice on a supplied guided app. It is completely personalized to you. So if your stickler is the top one, it's going to work on your stickler first. If your hyper-rational is the first one, it's going to work on your hyper-rational. It is personalized to you based on your saboteur assessment. And then you have the opportunity to read the first 8 chapters of Shirzad's book, Positive Intelligence, if you'd like. It's available in a PDF format. You can do this all on your own. You can go to the positiveintelligence.com website, enroll there. You're on your own. Good luck. It'll be wonderful. You will absolutely love it. Now, if you would like to work with me, I then subsequently offer weekly group sessions where we get together for all 6 weeks. There's a group onboarding session that we do just to make sure that the app is working properly for you. It's prior to the start of the program. We have a group conclusion session. We have an assessment at the beginning. And again, the assessment is free. You're more than welcome to go to positiveintelligence.com, take the assessment, you type in your own email address, You get the results. I don't get the results. You get the results. If you would like to work with me, you can send me your results, grab some time on my calendar, and I'll be more than happy to go over the results with you and what the next steps are. You will have access, again, if you work with me, you will have access to the app for the entire year. So remember, we talked about those New Year's resolutions and whether they last a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. This one's going to last you the entire year. You will have access to the app. So my question for you is, you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. So get on your way. Dr. Seuss, one of my favorite books. So remember that life is just a great balancing act. So what's going on in your head right now? That's what I want to ask you. Is that voice in your head sabotaging you right now and being like, no way, this can't be possible. This is way too easy. People talk about meditating for hours or days on end and retreats and all this stuff. And this chick is on screen going, breathe in, breathe out, do this. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Absolutely. I'm inviting you to break the unconscious cycles that are undermining your dreams. Because right now your saboteurs are screaming. They just are. Why? Because they don't want you to do anything. They love you because they get to beat you down all the time. They just do. So I invite you to dream big. Dream big. Tap down that symphony that's getting louder and louder and louder for a reason. So I invite you, what do you want in the new year? What do you want? What do you truly want? What are you willing to embrace? So again, if you're curious, I invite you to email me, reach out to me, go to the positiveintelligence.com website, as I mentioned, /assessment. It is a completely free assessment. You can do it. You will get your own results. I do not get them, not at all, unless you send them to me. And you're more than welcome to send them to me. You can grab 30 minutes on my calendar. And again, that's calendly.com. My website's Understanding Ear. And we can chat, even to determine whether the program's right for you. I want you to be successful in this program. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But in the meantime, you get to take the assessment and see where you lie. It's beautiful. Absolutely. Very, very much so. So I do want to thank you for participating. And if anything, just to think about pausing and taking a breath. I know we breathe all day long, but there's something about taking that nice, deep inhale, filling our lungs, and letting it go. I wish you great success on your journey. If I can be of assistance and a guide on your side, by all means, reach out.